everyone, and welcome to the IAM Love Builders Show. We are your hosts, Casper and Cheryl Stockham, and we are so glad that you tuned in with us today.
Yes.
We give a great big shout out to all of our broadcast partners. Thank you so much for being with us today. And we just want to give everyone a big welcome to IAM Love Builders. I Am Love Builders is a show that is dedicated to all things dealing with relationships and communication. It doesn't matter if you're married or single. We have something to impart to you to help you become MVPs.
Yes.
That's the most valuable partner in your marriage or relationship. Here at I Am Love Builders, we firmly believe that if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
No doubt about that. All right, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors, and we just got back from winning the Zanti Awards in Dallas, Texas last weekend. So we are winners of the award. It's kind of like the People's Choice Award for people that don't know about Zanti. It's on the Zandra TV network, so we're super excited. Season 1 of Winning with Love won the
Zanti Award for our category. Yes.
We're going to talk more about that here in a moment, but we're going to move on. We are doing a casting call for season 2 of Winning with Love and season 1 winning the single game.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking for married couples and singles to join us in Dallas, Texas. Now, it's not a big time commitment. It's only one day, but it's all day.
Yes.
For the filming and so forth. So we may touch on that here in a moment. We have a lot of services we provide through Zandra TV Network, through I Am Love Builders. We can do TV advertising, we can do movie promotion, podcast promotion, pay-per-view stuff. A lot of great services that we offer through Zandra TV Network. We have a most valuable partner network on Facebook, a free network, where we share communication strategy information, couple information, and for singles. So it's a free group to join. The group is growing, so you can join the group and get a lot of great information for free. And we have an app, a free app. You can download it and get also a lot more information on relationships and communication and so forth for couples and singles. So you definitely want to go to our website, iamlovebuilders.com, and download the free app. And we'll give a shout out to our sponsors at Texacoin. These guys and Texas All-Stars, these guys have perfected the crypto mining space. It's pretty amazing what they're doing, and we're super excited about it and super excited to have them as sponsors to the show. All right. So before we get too carried away, I'm going to play this video of this awesome, pretty lady that had a message for us.
Hello, everybody. Casper and Cheryl here. And guess what? We won our first year. And we win a Zanti Award. We can't thank you guys enough. We appreciate you.
Yes. Big shout out to my daughter, Shereen.
Thank you.
She voted every day. And she promoted our show every day. Thank you, Shereen.
And we thank all of you who voted. All of you who were watching the show, who gave us comments. We appreciate you. Those who we didn't even know were watching it, we thank you. Thanks, everybody.
It's awesome, guys. I appreciate you.
We love you.
Love you guys.
Bye-bye.
All right. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting last Saturday. We knew we were in the running, obviously, and there was like 15 or so.
Yeah, a good 12, 14 other shows in our category.
Yeah. And it's like the People's Choice Awards. So you ask people to vote, and you can vote daily. So we asked people to vote daily. And we were reaching out on social media, and my daughter Cherie, she was there every day. Vote, make sure she's voting.
Telling all her friends, vote for my dad, vote for my dad.
Yeah. And she's a fan of the show and everything, so she was voting every day. But we still didn't really believe that we had enough traction to actually win.
Right.
Because there's a lot of great shows that were in that category.
And a lot of those shows were seasoned.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them, this wasn't their first.
Wasn't their first season.
Yeah, right? This was our first season. Yeah. And so we thought, we'll win a Zanti Award one day.
One day, yeah.
We didn't know it was going to be last week, though.
Yeah.
We know we were going to win it now.
Yeah. So that was super exciting for that. And studios are expanding now. They got a huge space right in a mall area. So it's kind of like a popular area that they're in. So they're expanding and
They have two studios now. So
yeah.
they have one that's more medium sized for medium sized shows,
Yeah, smaller
casting.
smaller venues. Yeah.
Yes, smaller venues. And now they have one for the bigger venues as well.
Yeah, and they can even do some movie stuff at that new location.
Movies,
What did
documentaries.
she say
12,000 square feet.
12,000 square feet.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a big facility and a lot of different. It's sectioned off, so you can do a lot of unique things at that location. So we're excited because season 2, we're tossing up, trying to figure out if we want to go to the bigger place or we want to do still
At their place, our small
current studio.
Yes. So we still have our casting call out there too. Oh, and let me show you this.
Oh yeah, show them the thing.
Let me show
That's
you.
heavy.
It is heavy. Let me get it.
Yeah, don't drop it.
I know. It'll break my toe. All right.
There
This
it
is the Zanti Award. Let me see how I can see it so you guys can see it. This is the Zanti Award. This is what
solid crystal.
Yes, this thing, and it weighs a lot.
Yeah, I think it weighs about 10 pounds. Yeah.
It's pretty heavy. You could get some muscle.
You
with
can
it.
knock somebody out with that.
It could be a weapon. I'm surprised they let us on the plane. But yes, so we just want to give a big shout out to everyone. We thank you for supporting us, for checking in and watching the show and voting. We want you to know we could not have done it without you. We're most appreciative.
Absolutely. And the casting call for season 2 of Winning with Love and stuff. We're looking for 4 couples to join us on that. We do have a couple couples already kind of lined up, but we still need a couple more.
Yes.
And then on the single side, so we have a couple singles as well, but we still need some more singles to join us.
So
now we're changing it up a little bit, and this is important because the first season we had the game show, and we decided to actually drop the game show portion of it because even though it was fun and everything, it really wasn't highlighting the businesses that were coming on the show.
Right.
So we wanted to change it up a little bit and offer them even more of a benefit. In fact, we were calculating how much of a benefit it would be, and it's right around $9,500 in benefits for on-screen exposure and
you get commercials, press releases, not to mention the fact you get airtime where you can literally tell your story, as well as share your business, your product, your service, whatever it is that if you've got a ministry or pastors of a church, whatever, we will give you will have the airtime to really tell details about that.
Yeah, it's going to be basically like a personal infomercial is how I kind of describe it, because it's not going to be the time is running out, go ahead and order now kind of thing, but it's just going to be an unpacking of their business, so book or their course or whatever they have going on.
And it's going to be casual and laid back. We want you to have the time to just really share.
Yep. All right. So we're going to take a quick break. We have our MVP guests in the green room. We're going to bring them up, awesome friends of ours, and we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back in just a moment. You are watching I Am Love Builders Show. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Your love deserves the best. You deserve MVP Premier. Transform your relationship with our exclusive 5-day immersive experience for only 8 couples a year. Luxury travel, stunning resorts, gourmet dining, and a lifetime of support await you. Reimagine your relationship. Apply now at mvppremier.com.
All right, we are back with Casper and Cheryl with I Am Love Builders, and we have our special guests in studio. I'm going to pull these guys up, Scott and Vicky Nichols. They are followers of Jesus Christ as we are as well, and they're business owners in Central Virginia. They have 2 websites we're going to potentially bring up and talk about. One is, but the names are similar though. That's kind of cool. So it's Professional Edge Advisors and Professional Edge Cleaning. So we're going to talk about both
Both
of
of
those.
those. Very good.
But before we do that, guys, welcome to the show. And we want you to tell us about Scott and Vicky.
share with us your love story.
Well, okay. Well, hey, you know what? First and foremost, Casper, happy Father's Day.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Happy Father's Day.
Dad of daughters, it takes a special guy, and I totally get it. And I can see the loving relationship based on the posts that I've seen for you.
Yeah.
And just what a great relationship you have with your daughter. And that is fantastic. So well done, Dad.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you're welcome.
Back to you, Dad.
Well, you know, still got a long ways to go. We'll just go with that. So about Scott and Vicky, I guess, you know, the best way to describe it is wow, but God.
Okay.
And really, you know, I sit back and Vicky laughs because I love telling this story, but there's more to it, and it's really cool. So it started when we were both about 5 years old. We were in a Sunday school together that we weren't believers. We were just there. We're at this church. So, okay, great. 8 years after that, we're in the same reasonable sized town in Northern Virginia. And we were in the same middle school. 4 years after that,
Didn't know each other.
knew of each other.
Wow.
4 years after that, we're in the same high school, same second year Spanish class, my senior year, Vicky's junior year. 4 years after that, I'm working with her dad, doing some one-on-one work with her dad before her dad died of a massive heart attack.
Oh, wow.
So I got to know him before I really got to know Vicky.
Wow.
4 years after that, I moved out of my house. Her band comes and plays at a party the first night I move into this house. Friend from high school. 4 years after that,
Whoa.
it gets crazy. 4 years after that, I run into her at a mutual friend's party. Just we see each other in passing. I'm like, oh, hey, that was Vicky Miller. 4 years after that, I go online, personal ad. I'm looking for something long-term.
This was the age of Yahoo Personals, friends.
Okay.
Plenty of this online, and a friend of mine had said, you should. I had been in a long-term relationship. It didn't work out. And my friend was like, you should go on this. I'm like, I am not going on that. I was like, I'm not going to do that. But I hadn't met anybody of quality.
Yeah.
And so she's like, Vicky, there could be somebody out there just thinking the exact same thing. There could be somebody quality who's resisting
Right.
encouragement of their friend to go and see what happens, you know?
Right.
Like, well, Lord, if this is your will, I'm just confident you're going to put somebody in my path. And he did. So
Yeah.
you can, sorry to interrupt.
No,
Yeah,
it's awesome. It's awesome. So I sent out this ad. She responded back. I'm like, oh, okay, this is great. We're going back and forth. We're sending emails. I mean, there's not a whole lot there. It's not like now where we have this awesome online show and profile. We can meet and
Let me stop you for a second. Did you know that it was the same Vicky or?
I'll get to that. So it's a great question. No, I didn't, because she said, hey, send me your picture. And I went, oh no. Wait, you send me yours. I don't have one yet.
Don't use that word to describe it. Don't use that word.
Oh, okay. Don't use that word to describe what I saw. She sent me her picture and I said, wow, he's beautiful.
Okay.
Okay,
That's okay. That's a better word.
That's a better word than the one I normally use. Okay. And wait, I know her. And I sent an email real quick back. I said, are you the same Vicky Miller that went to West Springfield High School? If so, be kind to my yearbook photo. And so what happened when you got that email?
I immediately went to the yearbook. But he had sent a picture and I didn't recognize him. But of course, this had been how many years after high school? I mean,
10, 12 years.
10 or 12 years. So of course we looked very different.
Yeah.
But when I looked at the picture, I was like, oh,
I do remember him, but I didn't really know him. We hung in
Right.
different groups. I was more in music and drama, and he was more into sports.
Mhm.
And we just didn't have a lot of similar friend group, honestly.
Right.
So yeah, so that was fun.
Yeah. And then so we ended up going out on our very first date, and I, didn't say 2 words, and she thought, this isn't going to work. But I did 2 good things. Well, one good thing and one sort of I brought her flowers,
Okay. Very good.
and I waited 4 days to call her back and say thanks for the date. So I put some suspense in there.
Yeah,
And
I was not used to that.
Yeah.
Not bringing myself up, but I mean, usually, well, I, of course, out of respect, after he drove up, I worked in Washington, D.C. at the time. I was a management analyst for the General Accounting Office, which is now the Government Accountability Office.
Okay.
And he came, we were talking on a Thursday, and he had said that he was off the next day. I said, well, why don't you come up and take me to lunch, is what I said to him.
Mhm.
He says, oh, well, okay. I was like, wow. So, okay. So he brought me flowers. Came out of the building, and there he is with his flowers, very cute. And I said, okay. And so we went over to Union Station and had a very nice lunch. And then afterwards, I gave him a kiss on the cheek. I said, thank you so much for driving up here and meeting me for lunch. And I had a great time. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I think I even I left you a message later on that evening saying, again, I just wanted to thank you for a nice day. Thank you so much. And I just left it at that. 4 days.
that was Friday.
What?
Monday night,
No.
I give her a call back. Hey, had a great time. And of course, she wasn't home. So I just left a message.
Right.
Fast forward a couple weeks, we start to go out on regular dates. I'm over at her house. We're looking through some old photo albums, and she's flipping pages. Do you know this person? Yeah, I know this person, this person, this person. I know all those people.
Yeah.
She flips the page and she says, hey, look, there's your sister. And she sang choir with my sister her senior year.
Wow.
It was just this back and forth. A couple weeks later, I'm cooking her dinner. We're hanging out at my apartment or my townhouse at that point. She's walking around and, checking out all the things and downstairs to make sure I'm not, some weird.
No.
Okay. She was.
I was not cooking, friends. This
No,
is
okay.
not, it was on my list. He had to cook.
All right.
I set up and I'm on cleanup duty. Okay.
So
That's
tell
all.
us about this.
Well, hold that thought, guys. This is awesome.
Right.
We're going to take a really quick break, and we'll be back here with Scott and Vicky
Right.
in just a second. You're watching I Am Love Builders. We'll be right back in just a moment. All right, we are back with our special guests in studio, MVP guests Scott and Vicky Nichols, and so all these just 4 year, and then you guys finally get together.
Yep.
And you're flipping through photo albums, and you're realizing,
You guys were close. I mean, your service
Like constant. Yeah, we were just kind of kept being put in each other's path. But I really think, I think back on all of that, and it was timing. I mean, I don't think that I was the person that Scott should marry before we met.
Mhm.
And I think he would say the same thing. I really do believe we had a lot of maturing to do. We had to really we had to really grow individually in order to be ready to have the quality relationship that God had for us. So I really do believe that, but it is very fun story to tell and to reflect on. And in a way, it, drew us even closer together.
Yeah.
Scott had mentioned I was at the townhouse, and I think I went downstairs to get something actually, but I went down there and I saw the fraternity plaques that a lot of fraternities will have. Like, I don't know if they still do it today, but the fraternity plaques. And I recognized the insignia on there. So I go upstairs and I said, is that Sigma Nu fraternity? And your plaque? And he goes, yeah, I'm part of Sigma Nu. I was part of Sigma Nu fraternity. And that's where I was like, oh dear. I was like, the tears welled up. I said, did you happen to know a man by the name of March Miller? And he said, yeah, I knew March. And I said, that was my dad.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh, even telling it today. And then when we got married and we were moving into our home, and he was packing up his things from his townhome, we came across a glass. And at the time my dad was helping them start a charter at George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia. And at the bottom of the glass, they would have all the names of those that were involved in getting the charter in leadership. And my dad's name was on the glass that he had in his home.
Wow.
So super, super cool. Yeah. Scott wanted me to say something about my list, and then I want to give you guys an opportunity. We're just kind of talking here. So whatever you guys want.
Go ahead.
But when I was during the time where I left that long-term relationship that I was in, and I was single again in my early 30s, and it was hard. It was really hard. It was probably one of the most difficult times of my life because I really had to grow a lot. I had to reflect on where I had been, what I wanted, what I didn't want. And a friend of mine said, have you written a list? And prayed over it. And I said, I haven't done that. So I guess somehow got this pad of paper, and at the top, like the header was, what was the name of it? What was it? Had said something like, you can accomplish your dreams, or something like, if you believe it, you can dream it, you can achieve it, or something with, something about dreaming. Yeah. And I thought, well, that's kind of fun paper. So I began to write my list, and it made dating a lot easier because I would date somebody. I would just kind of gear the questions as we met on whether or not to see. And, sometimes they would not respond appropriately. They would not respond accurately. And I wouldn't say anything. I'd just be like, okay. Yeah. We won't go out again. But right. Scott he checked all my boxes. The one thing that I thought would be different, I thought he would have dark hair. And because my friend said, write everything down. And I said, minimum 6 feet, because I'm tall, I'm 5'10". And I wanted somebody, a little taller than me. That was just something I wanted. And I thought he would have dark hair, and he was blonde. And I was like, that wasn't a big deal to me because I saw his heart. And that is really what attracted me. One of the first, I was asked, I went to a Bible study last week with my daughter, actually, a group that she's a part of. And they asked this question. They said, what was it about your spouse that was the first thing that you can recall that attracted you to them? And it was so easy for me. I said, Scott, his servant's heart. Just how he serves people. I mean, and he still does that to this day. Like, if somebody is in need of any help, if he is physically able to do it, he will do it. Right. And that I just admire that quality about him.
Absolutely.
And so here's the really interesting part about how God has had a plan for this from the beginning of the age, is that when I grew up, I didn't really go to church. We did up until I was about 10 or 12. And there was something that happened. I don't need to relive that story, but something that happened, and we ended up not going back to church. And I had friends that would invite me. I had friends that would say, you should come. And occasionally I would go, but there was never really the right the right fit, the right understanding. Clearly God was not calling me at that time.
Right.
And then here I am dating Vicky. And on that list, I got to see the list. And it said spiritual leader of the family. And at the same time, as a brand new believer, she says to me, "Hey, Scott, why don't you come to church with me?" Now, I remember that I came the first time she asked. She tells me that no, it was a couple times until I finally, I heard that call and I said, okay, I'm going to go.
Well, we would be out on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
And I'd say, I have to get home at a reasonable hour because I'm going to church tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You want to come.
So
you're welcome to
here
come.
she is drawing me in.
No pressure.
No pressure.
But if you
and I'm
wanna
like,
see me-
all right, I want to hang out with this beautiful woman. So I'm like, okay, I figured this out. And
Yeah, that's how Cheryl got me.
yeah, I understand.
Hey,
Whatever works,
Whatever works.
So here I am, and I go, and the pastor just laid out the gospel message very clearly, very concisely. I mean, it's a simple message. It's God created everything. We screwed it up. He sent his son for us.
Yeah.
And we need to respond.
Yeah. He took,
and
his
that's
son,
it.
His son took our punishment.
His son took our punishment. And
Praise God.
And I was like, okay, I'm in. That's it. I hear it. And what that did was that laid the foundation for everything as part of our relationship going forward. Because getting married in our mid 30s, I had a family that kept on. So when are you going to get married? When are you going to get married? Come on.
Yeah.
You're too picky. You're too picky. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I want the right person. I want a lifetime commitment. And we both agreed to that up front.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to take another quick break. I apologize. And you're watching I Am Love Builder Show with Casper and Cheryl, our special MVP guests, Scott and Vicky Nichols. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Texacoin is the future of money in Texas. Texacoin is a fast, layer 1 digital currency designed for generations of honest trade. In many ways, Texacoin is like Bitcoin. It uses blockchain technology, the decentralized public ledger, to record transactions. Texacoin makes it easy for anyone to participate in the digital economy. Like Bitcoin, Texacoin can be traded for other cryptocurrencies or cash. But unlike Bitcoin and other leading cryptos, Texacoin can only be digitally mined in Texas. Join us as we build the world's largest decentralized cryptocurrency mine. Put control of crypto back in the hands of individuals and away from mega corporations, banks, and foreign nations. With Texacoin, we can leave the world a better place for our children and future generations.
All right, we are back with the I Am Love Builder Show with Casper and Cheryl. We have our special MVP guests, Scott and Vicky Nichols. So how long have you guys been married?
We have been married. We will have been married 24 years in October.
Oh, sweet.
Very good.
Yeah. We're coming up on 23 in September.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we were talking before the break, Casper and Cheryl, and one of the things that we decided right about the time we were going to get married, and we said, you know what, this is a lifetime commitment. And one of the things that we did was we said, hey, you know what, we're going to do everything that we can to grow and nurture and love on each other and build our relationship. And you can see, behind us, there's some of these books, but there's a lot more where that came from. And everything that we could find, we spent time every night. And, as you all know, having been married for so long, that a marriage is not, it's not just a, as the joke goes, I told you when I married you, and that's, I don't have to tell you again. No.
Right.
A lifetime of work. And now that we're moving into another phase of our life where our oldest daughter has graduated college. Our other daughter is going into her junior year. We're looking at ways that we can grow together. And
Yes.
we always seek out and look for other opportunities that we can learn how to build the foundation that we already have.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of couples, when the children grow up and grow out and go out on their own and stuff, they come to realize that they don't even know each other anymore.
Right.
They spend so much time chasing after the kids and making sure they're okay and all the other stuff that they kind of grow apart. So it's good to see couples like yourselves that are working on. No, we got to keep this thing
Right.
We got to keep it solid.
Mhm.
Really quick, Maureen from BLN is watching, so she gave you a quick shout out.
Oh, hey,
Mari.
Maury.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's awesome.
She is awesome.
Well, and Casper, you bring up a great point when we talk about marriages and kids and so forth. Too often we hear of couples say, "My kids are my life."
Right.
Right.
Well, truth bomb coming to you. Your kids are temporary residents in your house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And, we told them that kind of jokingly, but hey, you're here. Our responsibility is to raise you well,
Right.
raise you, nurture you,
Yeah.
set you up, and launch you. And
then
it's on us. It's
hopefully you leave and only come back to visit.
Right. And occasionally babysit the grandchildren whenever that is going to be.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
No.
also, I'm sorry, Cheryl, were you going to say something?
I was gonna say, we get pushback from that when we tell people, couples, that the priorities, that your marriage goes before your children or your spouse goes before your children. We get a lot of pushback from that. That's not
Why is that, do you
people
think?
want to hear.
Why do you
But
think that is?
But it's just, I don't know, it's the culture, our society, and how we think things. But our children can't have a secure, solid foundation if mom and dad doesn't. And the world shows that. How many children are out there, or adult children now, of divorced homes?
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
what they wanted. I mean, some of them lived in some pretty precarious situations. Aside from that, they wanted a mom, a dad, a family. We hung out together. We had fun. We grew. We got corrected. But they didn't want, on this weekend I have to be at my mom's, and next weekend I'm at my dad's, and this holiday I can't spend Christmas with my mom because I have to spend it with my dad this year. That's just, and that's not God's plan either.
I think as you were talking, I was reminded of how I think our culture, our society has really lost sight about the purpose of marriage.
Right.
Marriage is expected to reflect the relationship of Christ to the church,
Yes.
bride. And how many times do we, disappoint God, and upset and sin and all these things that create conflict and really separate us from our relationship with him. Yet he constantly gives us grace.
Yes, he does.
Constantly pursues us and loves us. And all he wants is our love back. That's not too much unlike being in a marriage where, we love each other just like we love God, but there's going to be times where there's going to be conflict.
Yes.
And we were recently told us that some friends of ours were thinking about, breaking up or something like that. Of course, we've stepped in now and said, hey, let's talk about this.
Yes.
Because that's the easy way out.
Right.
That's what most people think. They think, oh, you know what? This is just not working. We're just not made for each other. And that is what that's the lie.
Exactly.
Society has told us is okay.
Yeah.
But I will, speaking from experience, it's been a rocky road at points. There have been points where we're like, we're at it. But the transformation in us as individuals and our marriage and the strength that has come out of that conflict and working through it,
Right.
you don't recognize it and see it in the moment when it's happening.
Right.
When it's happening, you're just like, I don't know what to do, and you're frustrated and you're upset or whatever it might be. But when you get through it, when you stick it out and you're like, you've committed to each other, better or worse, richer or poor,
Right.
and you commit and you figure it out. You
do.
figure it out. And then you look back and you're like, oh, I'm so glad we figured it out.
Right.
Because the truth is that how many people they quit because it's easier. We're just going to quit. And then they think they're going to find somebody else who's going to meet those needs. But the truth is, unless they focus in on themselves and they focus in on what caused that to break up and what they contributed to that,
Yeah.
you know, they're not going to grow. And that's kind of my point here, right? And I think we were talking about kids. I also believe that, you know, that our children really are God's children. He's just letting us steward them and raise them.
Yeah.
And they grow us a lot too. I know for me, they grew me in patience. They grew and not speaking.
Yeah.
Always when I thought stuff, but not speaking because I didn't want to, you know, plant seeds that were going to grow in a negative way. I mean, things like that. Not to say I was perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I do believe that.
We're gonna have to take a quick break. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
And Maureen is saying yes and amen to everything you guys are saying. All right, we're going to take a quick break. You are watching I Am Love Builder Show with Casper and Cheryl and our special MVP guests, Scott and Vicky Nichols. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back in just a moment. All right, we are back with I Am Love Builder Show, Casper and Cheryl. We have our special MVP guests in studio with us, Scott and Vicky Nichols. And Maureen says God does not have any grandchildren, so he only has children, not grandchildren.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so you were talking about the kids, and then we want to have a little transition here into your businesses. So, and I've got the websites keyed up so we can pull them up.
All right, so one last thing before we do that, and we were talking about kids and we're talking about growing and how we grow closer together as a couple. I can tell you, 2020 hindsight, looking back, the times in which we did not have agreement as a husband and a father, I can point back to times where I wasn't spending enough time in prayer, where I wasn't spending enough time in God's word.
Yeah.
And when we first decided that we were going to get married, we had, great biblical counseling, and they drew this really fancy triangle that everybody has seen, but it bears repeating. And a husband and wife are down here at the bottom, and God's here on top. And as we grow together, grow closer to God, grow closer to Christ, we grow closer together.
Right.
And that has made the difference, particularly over the past 10 years or so, with all the different varieties of struggles. But, God's been in it all.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. And we say the same thing a little bit differently, because when you're on the love alignment, when you're in alignment with God and you're in alignment with love, it's really hard to argue with your spouse if you're walking in love, right? Because you just don't, it's just not a part of, it's almost like going against the grain. Yeah. So yeah, so the closer you are to God, the closer you are with that love walk, the closer that you two will be together, for
Yep.
sure.
And yeah, I do believe marriage is just made. I think God made marriage on purpose to help us grow. I mean,
Oh, watch this. Hey, you think about this. Hey, we got two of everything. Oh, let's make two that are slightly different from each other, and let's watch what happens.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. But
You
it's
know,
a
you
good
wanted to,
growing.
yeah, and you wanted to transition to business. Here's what I think has happened in our business is that because we have continued to strive and work through the conflicts and seek to understand each other and
Mhm,
learn about each other
mhm.
versus digging our heels in and say, well, they need to learn about me and this is just how I am, yada, 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 but really seek to come together. What starts to happen is that we start to understand each other, gifts. We start to understand what the other person is really good at, what we're good at, what they're good at, and then we can encourage them in that way. And that's really kind of the story of our businesses, because my company is the one that started. I was working as an office manager for a cleaning company here in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And my boss at the time decided to sell the cleaning company. Well, I'd been working with him about 3 years, and I never thought to own a company. I never thought to own a company, let alone a cleaning company. I was like, what? What I liked was I liked the way that we made them feel. And I liked the way I liked my relationship with my clients. And so, he said, I would like to offer it to you. And I was like, wow. So I talked to Scott, and Scott knew my gifts. He knew that I was the type of person that loves a challenge. I
Mhm.
have had the opportunity to grow things that were nothing, or in the very early stages, I just bring people together and I grow it. And then God puts leaders in place, and then I turn that over to leaders. And I've done that. I had done that about 3 times prior to this company. So, I was just ready for another challenge. And that's exactly what it was. So now fast forward 6 years, my company has been in business. But Scott supported me the whole way.
Yes.
He has watched me. He's been there for me when I've cried. And
Mhm.
as a business owner, it's this emotional roller coaster. It's like,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love what I do, but the next day I'm crying because I'm like, this is so hard. But I wouldn't do anything else. I mean, in
Right.
your business, you all know how that works.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm so grateful because Scott chose to, he holds down the majority income. He's the primary breadwinner. And so this has allowed me to grow my company.
Right.
But he's been there with me even though I call it my company, it's because I spend most of the time in it. He's been there the whole time. He understands it. He knows how it works. And he's given me amazing ideas in it. And just recently, maybe about was it been like 6 months ago that you started? So we always had the vision to have, so we had professional edge cleaning, but we also had purchased professional edge services with the idea of being an umbrella and
Uh-huh.
having professional edge something. And we knew there was going to be some kind of consulting work that we would do in the future. We really believed that God had that in store for us, just because he was giving us so many opportunities to develop wisdom. We somebody. So about 6 months ago, when Scott started the advisory, I was encouraging him to do so because I know how good he is. I know his skills, and I know how much he's helped me. So I knew that would be great. So I'm excited that he's actually my coach. He's my consultant, and we sit together once a week, and he takes me through, and I'd love for him to share with you what he's doing in terms of his framework that he uses. But it's very different than anything. I've had 3 or 4 different coaches over the years.
Mhm.
I love working with Scott. And I wasn't sure I could say that because he is my husband. Sometimes I can be a little bit,
Yeah.
wasn't sure how it was going to play out. I really, honestly, truly say that I love working with him. His framework makes sense.
Well, I was
It's
going
simple.
to ask you about that because typically spouses can't advise each other. We can work together. We can work even in the same business. And each of us have our strengths and stuff, but to have one spouse as the coach, as the one that's advised, that's unique, I think, out there.
I
It
think it
is.
is.
It is. But so here's how God has a funny sense of humor.
Okay,
And
well, you're gonna have to hold up on God for a second. We're
go
gonna
ahead.
put God on hold for a second.
We'll wait for God.
We're gonna take another quick break here, and when we come back, we're gonna hear about Scott's advisory business and how he's able to work with his wife. That's an awesome story, guys. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back in just a moment, so I can find this slide. All right, here we go. All right, I have to repent from putting God on hold, but
That's okay. That's
love
awesome.
me, Michelle, Casper, and Cheryl. We have a special MVP guest in studio, Scott and Vicky Nichols. And yes, this dynamic of being able to coach your spouse or advise your spouse, I think that's something we definitely need to talk about as we talk about your advisory business.
Well, Casper, it actually is simpler than it sounds, and it's more difficult than it sounds. Because 6 years ago, when Vicky started and was running in, hey, how do I run and how do I work with this new cleaning company?
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, I had the confidence in her. She has an amazing thought process, detail, and when it comes down to it, she has the ability to work with anybody.
Hmm.
And she is the type of person that, I joke mostly, but they'll say, "Oh, you're Vicky's husband." Well, yeah, because she knows everybody. She's the type of person that can walk into a room of 200 people, and 25 minutes later, everybody knows who she is.
Right.
And that's just her gift. And she's amazing like that. She is so good at building relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happened over the past 6 years is, instead of me trying to micromanage her, I would wait. Let her come to me. Let her ask me questions. Now, occasionally, when something stupid happened, and I would insert myself, and sometimes she would say things like, "Well, I'm just trying to vent, and I'm not really looking for a solution."
Yeah.
Now, we do that all the time in marriage, because guys, we just try to fix it.
Want to fix it? Yeah.
Yeah. But what has happened in working with our daughters and recognizing step by step, where are we, what's going on, what we ended up doing is we ended up working together, and I would ask questions to help guide her and step her through step by step. What did she want to do?
Mm-hmm.
How did she want to be it? How did she want her business to be? And look at it not necessarily from, hey, I just want to make a couple $100 here or there, a couple thousand, or 100,000 or $1 million, and take care of me, and I'd like to retire. But whatever the case may be, we worked together.
Yeah.
And we walked step by step, asking questions but not directing. And that's the approach that I have captured now after 35 years of being in business.
Mm-hmm.
Looking now, and hey, you know what? When I work with another company, I really don't have any long-term skin in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do have is a desire to help people succeed. And I also have the desire and the wisdom that God has given me to ask the question, if you do this, then what?
Mm-hmm.
And if you do this, should you?
Mhm.
And that has happened time and time again over
Mhm.
the past couple years, where I have worked with individuals and they ask me, hey, I can go do X. I can expand my market by 20-fold working back and forth. But then we ask the question, should you?
Should you do it? Yeah.
Yeah, because you know what? Hey, we want to understand your vision. What is your vision? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself in 3, 5, 10 years?
Yeah.
What offerings do you want to have
Mm-hmm.
that work through that? And then look at things from a perspective that says, okay, now we have the vision. What are the steps that we put in place? What's the proper timing so that we leave a legacy?
Yeah.
Because as entrepreneurs, our biggest compliment, our biggest goal is to put something together that we can hand off to our kids.
Mm-hmm. If they want it,
If they want it.
If you
Yeah.
want it.
If
Yeah.
they want it, then okay.
then somebody else benefits from
Right.
the legacy that you leave. But here's what do you remember how I told you about how I've had like 3 or 4 different coaches or consultants over the years?
Mm-hmm.
Remember I told you that?
Yeah.
I told Scott this, and I told somebody else this recently. The greatest difference between working with Scott and those other coaches is how personal he is with them.
Mm.
I literally feel like he walks alongside me in my business. It's
Mhm.
not like he says, okay, here's my training program. Will you go do it?
Yeah.
And we'll meet up in next week and you can ask me any questions if it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
when he meets, it's like he asks me questions and he just lets me talk. And he's taking notes. And I don't even have to take notes. I can just share what's on my heart. And it can go from I'm really excited about this part of it, or this is really driving me crazy. This is really hard what I'm trying to do here. And he'll ask really good questions and he just takes notes. And then the next week when we come back, he will summarize what we talked about at the last meeting. And it's right on point.
Mhm.
And because it's this like cyclical approach and he's able to identify specific areas where like something isn't clear in a process, it needs to be clarified to be successful, right? So because he's got the way and his experience and knowledge in working corporately, it just works. And he, he creates a little homework for me to work on, but I don't, I think a lot of people, if you're in business by yourself, which I am, I'm like a solopreneur.
Uh-huh.
It's a lonely journey. You are like on your own.
Yes.
And when you have coaches that just give you this, that, or the other, go fill out this worksheet or go do this or go do that and go to this. You're like, do you not know what I have going on right now? Like I cannot do another training program. I cannot, it's hard. He walks alongside me and helps kind of guide me in that direction.
Wow.
So I feel like I'm not alone.
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
think it speaks highly of you, Scott, that you're able to, and you guys are able to work together, and you're able to do that with her because, like I said, I don't think that's a common trait, because spouses typically don't
Right.
listen to. I mean, they listen to each other, but not in that way.
Well, and Vicky, the fact that you allow your husband, I mean, let's be honest, some of us, we have very strong personalities and it can be kind of domineering, and we really don't want anyone to tell us, let alone our husband.
So,
So
the fact that you're humble enough to say, okay, you're not only my husband, but you're my best friend.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sit and listen to you. I want to hear honestly what it is you have to say. And that says that you have high respect for Scott, But it also says that you have the humility. You're allowing God to
Yeah.
work in you as well
Yeah.
when you do that.
Yeah.
I think so.
And
And
just
absolutely.
before you add in, Scott, we are actually really out of time, but I want to give you the chance to respond.
I'll say one last thing. We'll close it out here. Really, where this all comes down to is mutual submission.
Mhm.
And the way that we look at it, the way we've been trained, the way we've understood, we're in submission to God. Okay.
Yes.
God has the plan.
Mhm.
We have a responsibility to respond to him. But
Yes.
in mutual submission, submission is really simple. Sub is under and mission is the mission. If
Okay.
we are under the mission
The mission.
together
Mhm.
to glorify God through it all, we're going to succeed because we're going to grow each other and grow towards him.
That's
right.
it. That's a great place to end, Scott. I appreciate you guys.
Thank
Great
you.
show. We'll have to have you guys back for like part 2 on this because we're just starting to get started and we have to end. Hey, folks, you've been watching I Am Love Builder show, and we have Winning with Love TV show that we're doing a casting call for. We want you to get the MVP app because we want you to become MVP champions. And speaking of MVP champions, Scott and Vicky were on our summit that we did a couple months ago. So we appreciate you guys on that.
Thank you.
At the end of the day, look, if you're not having fun,
You're
You're
not
not
doing,
doing it
it right.
so you need to go to our website, download the app, IamLoveBuilders.com, and we will see you guys on the next show. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.